So are you tired of getting that great tee shot away, having a simple iron shot to the green, and just thinning it, just not getting that solid strike? But all you're craving is that ability, like you see the best players in the world, to stand up, get that address, make a swing, and get that ball and then turf contact, giving you a nice powerful strike and good distance. Well, all too often for golfers, they just get those occasionally, but they don't really understand how they've achieved it. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how we're going to set you up properly to the golf ball, and then a few little pointers you can work on to make sure that we create ball and then ground contact by controlling the lowest point of our golf swing effectively when the golf ball's on the ground. So I know what you might be thinking, what's Ali talking about low point? So when you look at the golf swing face on, that club is basically moving in a circle around your body. So when it moves around the circle, we've got the club moving up, down, reaches its lowest point, and then continues up. And golfers very often have been told about hitting down on the ball. And I don't think it's essential that you try and hit down, but if the lowest point of the swing was this side of the golf ball, the club would be traveling down, collecting the ball, then the low point would be in the ground, and then continue through. So let's start at address. So most golfers, in my opinion, are trying to get underneath the golf ball. So the first thing we tend to see is as golfers set up to the ball here, what they'll tend to do is favour that right side, and straight away, if I were to swing and not move, we can see how I'm going to hit way behind the golf ball. So the first thing we're going to work on is we're actually going to feel maybe like 60-65% of the pressure onto that left foot. And then we're just going to make a swing from there and see how that feels. And we can see there for me, my low point was 3.2 inches ahead. Clubs travelled down 4 degrees. Carry at 170, total at 182. And for some of you golfers watching, it'll be that easy. Just a little change at address, taking you from being way back behind the golf ball at address and then suddenly trying like mad to get across. By just setting yourself there to begin with, that's going to make a huge difference. So you won't move as far off to then move back. So the second thing we're going to work on is how you would make your backswing. So again, and I touched on it very briefly there, that now we're into that new address position. What we don't want to see with golfers is that they move off the golf ball, and you see how that right hip just moves away from the target and there's no real turn. And again, when we do that, very easy to hit way behind the golf ball, or we miss the ground. And when we miss the ground, the club's then traveling back up and hit the top of the ball. So the feel for the backswing is we're going to really focus on that right hip. And from that address position, we're going to try and feel that right hip just goes behind us in the takeaway. So we can see there, as that right hip moves back and behind, we stay much more centered over the golf ball, which again makes it much easier to move towards the target and touch the ground after the golf ball. So we do a few practice swings, and then we're going to set up to the golf ball, wait a little bit left, really get that right hip behind. And we see there 3.3 inches ahead, clubs travel down 4.2 degrees, 172 carry, 184 total. Now, I'm not saying that working through this video, you're going to need all these pieces. You might only need the first bit. You might already do the first and second bit great, but we're moving now into the third bit, which is how we start our downswing and how we transition from backswing to downswing. So what I see with a lot of golfers is they wait to get to the top of their swing and then they start moving. But again, what we'll tend to see is everything's very centered over the golf ball. And again, it's very hard to get ahead. And if anything, maybe we get a little bit of that flipping movement through impact, and very much kind of what this trail leg at impact, we could see would be back behind the ball. Whereas the best players in the world, that trail knee is almost getting past the ball by the time they hit their shot. So what we want to feel is as you're getting to the top of your swing, before the hands reach the top, you want to feel that you move towards the target and then swing down. You see, I'm able to really get touching that mat much further in advance. And then we're going to put those three pieces together. And it just feels so powerful. 4.2 inches ahead, 5 degrees down, 173 and 186. And some of this simple stuff we're talking about here, the best players in the world do this every time when they're hitting shots. And yet most golfers I watch are just achieving that really weak impact position, kind of glancing blow, adding loft to the golf club, and it just makes it really, really tough for them to get a strike. And even if they do find the middle of the club face, they just don't get any distance on the shot. So we've got three little bits to be working on there, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, fourth part, we're going to say we're on that left side, we've made the turn, we're starting to shift. So now what we need to make sure is that we're trying to get the body out of the way so that as the body's out of the way, we create that shaft lean. But for too many golfers, as good as they might be, the body stops, the hands try to take over and catch up to get that strike. So we're going to cross the club over our chest. And we're going to just get that leading edge at the same as my spine angle. We're going to lean forward. We're going to do that backswing move and start down. And then we're going to move the body out the way. And we can see that I can get my body a long way out the way for that club face to be pointing at the target. If I stop, we can see that club face is pointing over to the right. So I want to rehearse that feel. And then can I get that feel with the body once I'm moving the golf club? So it didn't feel great, but 2.7 inches ahead. Clubs travel down again, 172 and 185. And definitely for me out the bits so far, this is the bit I probably don't do quite as well. So I think I do this bit pretty well. But as I'm coming in, definitely feel my body doesn't open up as much as I'd like. I stop and my hands get a little bit more involved. So again, I'm going to try and exaggerate that feel. That was more like it. See, 4.2 inches ahead, 180 carry and 192 total. So we see already I'm starting to get some really nice, powerful strikes on the golf ball. Definitely getting ball and then turf. And we can see picking up some really nice distance and becoming very consistent with the shape of shot that I'm looking for. So once we do then, all I would ever say with golfers then is when they're making those movements, we want to commit to finishing that circle off. If we're going to get the club making a circle, there's no point in being back and stopping because we can see it's easy for that body to stop. So we're going to just finish off with everything we've spoken about. Feels good, feels powerful. And then we set up to the golf ball. Feels nice and flowing, fully committed, 3.7 inches ahead, 4 degrees down, 175 carry and 186 total. So even though there's 5 bits there, I'm not saying you would necessarily need all 5, but this just could be the only iron lesson you ever need, because if you're not hitting the ball how you would like, it's definitely at least one of those 5 things. So watch the video again. Next time you practice or play, work through those, starting with that address position and build your way through. And if you can do this, I guarantee you're going to hit some of the best iron shots you've ever hit, and I guarantee it'll be more fun, and you'll definitely get those scores down.